Official production on Avengers Doomsday is about to begin. We have the start date and the wrap date revealed to us, and if you've been around in the fandom for a while, you know what's about to go down. And if you're relatively new to the fandom, this is a big moment because this means a lot is about to be revealed. We're talking plot leaks, we're talking set photos, set videos, and via those set photos and videos, we could also get character reveals or actors who are coming aboard to play specific roles. We already know that Chris Evans is returning, and according to the reports, he's going to play multiple variants. We know that Scarlett Johansson is returning, and of course, obviously we know that Robert Downey Jr. is returning to play Doctor Doom. It's a very exciting time right now, and we're about to go fully into the start of Avengers Doomsday. Now, Production Weekly has updated and now has a listing for Avengers Doomsday, giving us the start time, the finish time, and an interesting cast list. One that is kind of confusing to some fans, but don't worry, I'll break it down in this video. And there is an actor's name on there who was recently rumored to possibly be joining the MCU. This could possibly confirm it. So let's go ahead and take a look. It says Avengers Doomsday feature film, Marvel Studios for All Time Productions UK Limited. Now we've heard about this before. We heard that the production company name for Avengers Doomsday was for All Time Productions. And this name does imply a lot for what to expect from Avengers Doomsday, specifically in regards to Loki. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's go over the full listing here. Now the next thing it says besides the addresses is status, and it says late March 2025. So we have about 3 months until production begins for Avengers Doomsday. That is when things are really going to start to pick up as far as us getting new information about Avengers Doomsday is concerned, coming directly from the studio. And coming directly from the studio could be via leaks, photos, videos, etc. Then after they do filming and they start to do the editing, they'll show screenings, we'll get more information about the movie. Then of course, it's really hard for studios to keep everything completely under wraps. Marvel has been trying to be a little bit more secretive though. The best example for this is the fact that they are covering up that mysterious cameo on the Fantastic Four set every time that person goes from one place to another. Like we have a ton of photos of Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards in costume just walking around on sets. The same thing goes for The Thing. We have pictures of what The Thing is going to look like, and we've even seen Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm as well. We've basically seen the full cast, but we haven't seen this mysterious cameo. They are intentionally trying to keep that person a secret. So they'll try to do the same for Avengers Doomsday, but just like with the Fantastic Four, things still get out. Now at the bottom of this, it says from March 2025 to August 2025. Now that of course is most likely when filming is going to wrap, which means from then they will have 9 months to complete all of the editing and post-production. And with most Marvel films, they probably will do reshoots. But check out the cast that they have listed. Of course, we have Kevin Feige as the producer, Louis D'Esposito, and we have Stephen McFeely, along with the Russo brothers coming back to direct. The Russo brothers, Stephen McFeely, and Christopher Marcus all did Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame plus Captain America films. These are Marvel veterans, so Doomsday and Secret Wars are in good hands, but the cast lists Robert Downey Jr., of course, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Ebon Moss, Tom Holland, of course. Then it lists Elizabeth Olsen. Now, rumors and reports of the Scarlet Witch's return have run rampant over the past few months, actually really over the past couple of years. But with Agatha All Along coming out, which brought back both of Wanda's children, reincarnated Billy and Tommy, we've been hearing more about the Scarlet Witch's return more than ever. In an interesting twist, we heard that she might actually be on the side of Doom. But remember, at first at least, it seems like Doom is going to be trying to save the multiverse, so that doesn't necessarily mean that the Scarlet Witch is evil. In fact, I'm really hoping that when she returns, she has a redemption arc and she becomes good once again. It then lists Sebastian Stan, Florence Pugh, Wyatt Russell, David Arbor, Hannah John Kamen, Olga Kurylenko, which is interesting because she plays Taskmaster, and a lot of people are thinking that Taskmaster is going to die at some point in the Thunderbolts. This could mean that she, in fact, does not die, but it also lists Chris Evans, Anthony Mackie, Benedict Cumberbatch, Haley Atwell, who is reportedly going to be returning as Agent Carter / Captain Carter. We're not really sure which version is going to be appearing, but here's something interesting. One of the last things that they mention in parentheses at the bottom says Ana de Armas mentioned for a role, which has been reported very recently that she has had talks with Marvel Studios about an upcoming role that she could be possibly playing. It looks like Avengers Doomsday is the movie that she could be playing that character in. Now, as far as which character she could play, we don't really have any real way of knowing at this point in time. There's been no rumors or reports about any character yet, but some fans think that she could be playing possibly a Black Widow variant, or she could possibly be playing an X-Men. This is kind of in line with what Marvel Studios has been doing recently. They have been getting a lot of really famous actors to play roles in the MCU. Sometimes big, sometimes not so big. But if we hear any updates about who she could be playing, we'll of course be sure to do an update video. Now, going back to the listed cast, one thing that some people are a little bit confused about are the actors who are not listed. For example, Chris Hemsworth is not listed on here, but we know that Thor is going to be returning for Avengers Doomsday. Mark Ruffalo is also not listed on here, but we know he's going to be returning as well. Basically, the fact that some actors aren't listed on here doesn't mean that they're not showing up in Avengers Doomsday. It looks like Production Weekly just basically listed all of the actors for the upcoming movies. Captain America: Brave New World, The Thunderbolts, Spider-Man 4, you get it. And sometimes with the cast, they put members that they've heard reports are going to be in the film. Sometimes those reports aren't officially from Marvel Studios. They could be from insiders like we hear. They do that sometimes. So basically, if you're worried about a certain actor or character not appearing because the actor is not listed on here, nothing to worry about. We've heard that there are going to be over 60 characters in this movie. They're not going to list them all. Like I said, they basically just listed the actors who are going to be starring in the most recent films. Now, going back to the production listing, with the production company being For All Time Productions UK Limited, this implies that Loki is going to play a decent role in Avengers Doomsday, which, if we think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Now, For All Time comes from Loki. It comes from the TVA, their slogan, their motto, for all time, always. Now, it's easy to hear that and think about the old TVA, the TVA that we met in Loki season 1, the one that was ruled by He Who Remains. You have to basically get that out of your head for Avengers Doomsday, especially because it really does seem like Marvel Studios probably isn't going to do anything, at least not big, to address Kang. Now, For All Time Always is the new TVA, the one that is basically being ran by B-15, with of course Loki holding the multiverse together. And in doing so, Loki actually gave everyone a chance. He allowed branch timelines to happen. So now, For All Time Always means making sure everybody has free will and basically eliminating the threats that get in the way of that. Well, it looks like Doom is probably going to be one of those threats. After all, he is going to be the main villain of not only Doomsday, but of Secret Wars as well, and just the entirety of the multiverse saga. But this production listing implies that Doom is most likely going to come face to face with Loki. And again, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, and it's kind of inevitable. Because if the Russo brothers are going to take some of the story points from the Secret Wars comics, which we know they probably are going to do quite a bit because they are huge Secret Wars fans. In fact, when they did Avengers Endgame, they said they were done, but when people asked what could bring them back, they specifically said Secret Wars, and here we are. So they're probably going to pull quite a bit from the comics, which means they're probably going to destroy the entire multiverse, which is what we've really been building up to. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness showed us that there are threats to the multiverse and that incursions can happen. And we know that the TVA can essentially delete timelines, but can they save timelines from incursions? Can they save universes from incursions? Probably not. But the bigger question is, can they stop Doctor Doom? Because what I think might happen in Avengers Doomsday is that Doctor Doom could start off trying to save the multiverse, but then, just like in the comics in the 2015 Secret Wars, he might realize that there's nothing he can do to actually save the entirety of the multiverse. So instead, he might try to simply save one thing, just something, and that could be Battleworld. But how they go about that in the MCU, I believe, will be different than the comics. I believe they're going to make Doom more of a real villain when it comes to the destruction of the multiverse. So perhaps he is the one going around and kind of ending universes. This would put him in direct conflict with Loki and the TVA, especially if Doom realizes that Loki is essentially Yggdrasil and is holding the multiverse together. If he figures this out, he'll probably try to figure out a way to get to Loki. And I have a theory that Doom might actually stumble upon some of Kang's technology. I actually think this would be really cool and would be a good way to kind of not really give us full closure, but some type of closure for Kang in the MCU. But it would also enable him to get to Loki. In theory. I mean, right now, technically Loki is residing where He Who Remains once resided. So if Doom gets his hands on He Who Remains' technology, he could theoretically get to Loki. And that is one of the really cool things about Doom. He is sorcery, but he's also technology. Something that I'm really hoping they dive into in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. But I think Avengers Doomsday does end with the destruction of the multiverse, which means Loki will no longer be holding all of the branches together. So the fact that the name of the production company is for All Time Productions does lead me to believe that the end of Avengers Doomsday will be the end of the multiverse. And this would essentially free up Loki to join the fight, in which I do hope that leads to him reuniting with Thor. Yes, it's a different version than we've seen in the MCU prior to Loki Season 1, but I still think that Thor would be really proud of what Loki has become, this variant. But of course, this ends with the destruction of the multiverse, which I'm sure will lead into Battleworld in Avengers Secret Wars. Battleworld, of course, ruled by Doctor Doom. But like I said, we're about to find out a lot about this film once production begins. So if you want to stay up to date on all things with Avengers Doomsday and Marvel in general, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update video. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.